Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dead. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the code check-in.
We are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What do we do?
We get the people what they want.
I always thought that James Harden would have a great season.
Yep.
You know, you were early. You were the first. I will say the absolute first to predict what?
You were going to see history this year in the regular season, and I know some people think it's anticlimactic when Kevin Durant joins the Warriors and then the Cavs, who now added Kyle Korver. They're on a collision course potentially to meet in the NBA Finals. Nothing else during the regular season is going to matter. Not true. Two individuals are going to make notable things happen that we have not seen since the Big O. That's Russell Westbrook has a chance to average a triple-double for a regular season.
And?
James Harden has the opportunity to be the first guy since Tiny Archibald to lead the league in points and assists.
Now, you opened my eyes to that early in the season, and I sort of expected James Harden to have a blow-up year. I thought that Dwight Howard wasn't a good fit for what they were trying to do there. They added Ryan Anderson. But I did not expect this. I didn't expect the team to perform this well. The Rockets have now won 9 straight. And James Harden, in back-to-back games, has had triple-doubles with 40 points.
The Rockets, under Daryl Morey, always wanted to be a pace and space team. And if you put him in a laboratory and circle the coach that he'd want to institute that, all of the time it would have been Mike D'Antoni. Though Kevin McHale had a lot of success there, that roster was not built to play that way. In particular, players like Josh Smith shooting multiple threes a game. Now you can play that style because your personnel fits as such. Make James Harden a primary ball handler. Patrick Beverley can play off the basketball, defend the other team's point guard, and hope he's going to make a couple of three-point shots. But everybody else, stay low. Keep firing. This is what Ryan Anderson does. The majority of his shots on a nightly basis are going to be from three. And they're not just on the line. They're a couple of feet back. As well as Eric Gordon, who's been terrific, though injured right now. Trevor Ariza, while people understand he's a really good slasher and defender, has been a knockdown shooter for years. So now, if other guys get going, like a Corey Brewer, who just had double figures in a recent game, you have the spacing for one of the best creators in James Harden that can lead the league in scoring himself. Remember, he led the league in total points the last 2 years. Always has been a willing and a really good passer. Now, all of a sudden, it's just the unstoppable force when you combine what he's doing in Mike D'Antoni's system. It's amazing to watch. It's clearly something that I'm glued in to check out every night.
I thought that when Capella went down, so down would go the chances of the Rockets being at the top of the table in the Western Conference. I don't think they'll be number 1 and number 2. I mean the top 4 spots. I thought Clint Capella's emergence in replacing Dwight Howard, eating up a lot of those minutes and finishing at the basket, being a rim protector, I thought that was key to what they were doing and them to be successful. Here comes Montrezl Harrell. Here comes bearded, dreaded Nene coming out with the gray beard. You know, they haven't really lost that much of a step. And I think that's not so much because of the performance of those two individuals. It's really just another testament to how James Harden runs this team.
And Mike D'Antoni, Coach of the Year, doing a terrific job. Nobody could say they anticipated the success of this team in the vaunted Western Conference to be literally a legitimate team that people can now say, will they make it to the Western Conference Finals? So that is a testament to James Harden. And Russell Westbrook is going to dominate the conversation because he's still able to get those amazing triple-doubles. But the MVP race is a lot closer than people realize. And don't be surprised in about mid-February, March, Harden becomes the favorite. And I'm going to tell you why. 2 words. Record and efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2 things that he may have the advantage on Russell Westbrook.
The Thunder are in the 7th spot in the West right now, but they're in that spot just by a couple games. You know what I mean? And they could easily be outside of the playoffs. And when you have the ballot in front of you, which you don't for some reason, but we'll get on that later. When you have the ballot in front of you, it's just hard to check the box of the guy whose season is going to end after 82 games.
Well, here's the thing. I may not have an NBA ballot, but I got a SAG-AFTRA ballot. And they send me movies all of the time.
You get those movies? Let me get some screeners.
They trust my opinion.
You know I can't go to the movies. Let me get some screeners.
Yeah, just saw Fences.
Hit me with those screeners.
La La Land.
What? You got La La Land? You're the plug. I want to see Loving. It's about an interracial marriage.
You need to see Loving.
The actress looks just like my wife. I need to see it. You got the screener?
Me and Molly text you guys from the movie.
Hit me with that. Hit me with that.
I got you.
Fences? Hidden Figures?
Yes.
What about Hidden Fences?
I have all of them.
You didn't get that reference. It was a big reference. We watched the end of the Celtics-Raptors game, which was essentially the battle for who's going to lose to the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, Valanciunas said this after the Raptors came from behind to beat the Celtics. Quote, "They are racing for second place. We are racing for first." Are the Raptors really racing for first place?
Both of these teams are doing exactly what you said. Willing to celebrate their season if they make it to the conference finals, have a good showing, and lose to the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
Moral victories do exist in sports. That would be a victory for either one of these teams. And so what you're seeing is these 2 teams understanding that they may face one another for that opportunity, and they're just jockeying for position through the media.
If we're talking about the Cavs, can we talk about Kyle Korver? I mean, he was going to change the game. He made them the favorites. His first game in a Cavs uniform, 1 for 5. Hit a mid-range jumper, 18 minutes, 0 for 2 from 3, 0 for 3 on uncontested looks. Come on, Kyle.
He's a 3-point shooter. So if he's getting 5 attempts and a majority of them are going to be 3-point shots, that's going to equate to another double-figure score. And as we talk about the Cavs clearly being a favorite in the East, and I know you just mentioned the Celtics along with the Raptors, a couple of things jumped out at me. Prolific scoring. Like DeMar DeRozan, that's my current favorite offensive player. I'm going to tell you guys why.
Why is that?
And I know I'm not supposed to have favorites and be unbiased, because
anyone who tells you they don't have favorites and they're unbiased is lying to you.
I appreciate players who play within their game and still maximize their potential and still are really productive. When you're a shooting guard in today's game, it's easy to just stand behind the 3-point line and think, now all of a sudden I'm going to be a knockdown shooter. He's never embraced that. He's like, I'm a slasher. I'm a driver. I'm a finisher. I can get to the hole. I like to post. I will spin off of you and dunk on you. And so I appreciate that about watching this game, because the league has become so homogenous where all of the teams play alike. So him and guys like Jimmy Butler, we talked about James Harden, when they get going from that shooting guard spot, it just looks a lot different in today's game. And Isaiah Thomas, herky-jerky, 5'9" guy, averaging 27 points. Like, he's getting buckets.
Has he finished with his right hand in the last 3 seasons? No.
He doesn't need to, but he can't. And he's small. The one thing about basketball is each player has strengths and weaknesses. Of course, you're going to try to have a guy at his height go to his right hand and see if you could try to get him to shoot over a contest. Those 2 guys in the East, and one more guy that just jumped out at me, I have to mention his name just to do it. John Wall's been balling too.
Mm-hmm. Game-winning shot in
been
Chicago.
Getting the points, been getting the assists, the steals. He's a blur. So there are a lot of players, when I'm having a remote control in my hand, of course I'm watching my Pistons and seeing Andre Drummond, but then there's Boogie, then there's Anthony Davis, then there's Greek Freak. Kawhi Leonard still out there doing his thing.
Jalen Rose, there's been a lot of discussion of Derrick Rose of late.
Yep.
The New York Daily News is reporting that Rose was such an emotional wreck on Monday afternoon that for a brief time, he talked about walking away from basketball. My question for you is this. Because everybody who's ever had a job talked about walking away from it. No matter what you do. Everybody gets fed up with their job at some point. It's like, you know what? I'm out of here.
Like getting mad at your parents and going in the room, slamming the door.
I'm running away.
I hate you.
Yeah, exactly.
What you say?
Everyone
What you
has
say?
done that. Everyone has done that. Is this just an employer who got upset for a few hours and then came back into the fold? Or is this some sort of emotional mental breakdown? Which do you think this is?
So there are two separate things happening, and I want to make sure I distinguish between the two.
Please do.
There is a level of irresponsibility and unprofessionalism that goes with not only ignoring your job trying to reach out to you, but all of your teammates, and leaving your squad to defend your whereabouts and worry about you. Mm-hmm. That should never happen as long as you're alive. That should never happen as long as
you have a phone, as long as you're alive,
as long as you're alive,
breathing,
as long as you're alive. When we're texting you, we're emailing you, we're trying to reach out to you, people should have to go to your apartment because you start to think and fear the worst.
Can we be honest, Jalen? When he looked down at his phone and he saw that it was someone from the Knicks, do you know what he did? He was like, "Oh, forget them," and then he put it down.
And so there's that level that I must address. But there's another level that we can't ignore, and that's how we problem solve. Derrick Rose is an introverted person by nature.
Yep.
And if you go back to our very program, I remember saying this, when he first got to New York, Chicago was home. It created an incubator of people that were going to take care of him personally, professionally, and in the media.
Sure.
Because he was one of their own and they knew how he operated.
That's a good point.
And when you're a public figure and you now leave that and you go to New York City, I played in both towns. Okay, New York City is on another level for a reason. Yep. Just because they have the most passionate people that you can be around, especially about their sports team. Mm-hmm. I affectionately say this. New York fans front run better than everybody. Like, y'all been quiet since the Knicks and the Yankees been quiet, been struggling. But when those two teams halfway show a pulse.
Everyone's got a Mets hat now, though. Yeah,
man.
Everyone's got a Mets hat now.
New York fans, like, they put things on steroids. Sure. I used to joke about that when I was a Midwest kid, and I was like, man, you go to New York, it's like Sebastian Telfair. It's like
it's a sink or swim town. It's a sink or swim town. Whether you're an athlete or just a regular dude like me, if you move to New York, it's a sink or swim proposal.
Correct. And so with Derrick Rose, how does he respond to what seems to be personal and professional tragedy both happening at the same time?
Because we have to take his word for him when he says it's a family problem.
And here's what I'll ask you and the listener. That's a question that we should now ask ourselves, because we all have things in our day, in our lives, that can be things that bother you emotionally, psychologically, whether it's with your job, whether it's with your family, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with your mate. There are people that get paid lots of money and spend lots of time doing therapy and doing meditation for this very topic. How do you decompress when the world is coming at you 90 miles an hour? We all have that scenario. Those that juggle that the best are the ones that say, I just block out the noise. Yep. Some people aren't able to just do that the way others can. No. And so with Derrick Rose, you know he's hearing the whisper. He's a free agent this year. He just beat a case this summer. Just got benched in the fourth quarter. Probably dealing with some personal issues. He said the line I actually took to heart beyond everything that he said.
What was that?
I just needed to get away and be by myself.
I needed some space. That's why he didn't pick up the Knicks phone call.
Correct. Now, when somebody says they need space, that's emotional and psychological. That's what you're talking towards. It's not just one or the other. So I'm, as opposed to a lot of people, more sensitive to that, because I always talk, and we talked about this with Soulja Boy and Chris Brown, about how do you solve conflict? How do you solve problems? And so these type of situations have turned into dire things, tragic things that people have done to themselves or others when they just felt like, you know, they had a lot of things going on in their heads and hearts. So I just want to explain both sides, because that clearly is at play, But there's no excuse for the unprofessionalism and the irresponsibility from not reaching out to your teammates and the team that are trying to reach out to you because they care.
Someone else who's been in the news lately for different reasons is a rapper by the name of Meek Mill. He is very famously broken up with his other power couple girlfriend, Nicki Minaj.
I want them to get back together.
I saw a video that Meek Mill himself put on Instagram of him leaving his mother's house on an icy staircase. He walks out of the door, he slips, falls into a bush, the snow falls on top of his head, and then he runs away. Are you the type of person that laughs when someone else falls down or tries to help him up?
I want to make sure they're not injured first.
Oh, I'm laughing. I find this type of thing so funny. And I'm so glad that he shared this with the world because it is just so funny to me. He falls into the bush and then the bush pours snow on him and then he runs away. Why does he run away?
Initially, it was probably like, I'm going to make sure that wasn't on camera. And then it's like, it definitely was on camera.
He runs away.
So then he just had to own it.
He doesn't just run away. He runs away, and then like 4 seconds later, he walks back up the stairs to go back inside to change his jacket or whatever.
Because here's the thing. He sold a lot of records, does a lot of shows.
Sure.
He's getting money in this industry. When I talk about bars, his name should come up. Okay. I would almost bet that he purchased his mother's place.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, he clearly knows where the cameras are.
Oh, yeah. He's paying the bills for those cameras. Yeah.
So because of that, I have to post that. That's very nice. You got to be able to make fun of yourself.
Meek Mill for having enough of a sense of humor about himself, especially during these times, to post that video and share it with us and share it with people like me who will do nothing but laugh when other people fall down.
I want to try to get him on the show. I'm into it.
Let's do it. Thank you, Meek, for sharing that video of you falling downstairs. Jalen Rose.
What up, Joe?
I have a very important update on the Falcons and Seahawks matchups. Just yesterday broke news from Dan Quinn, the head coach, saying that they would not be playing future songs to troll Russell Wilson. They're not that type of organization. They would not do that.
Well, first off, you represent the A. You should be playing all of their artists, and Future's one of the hardest things that are going from that town. It only makes sense.
It makes sense. Well, Falcons DJ J Envy is like, you know what, Dan Quinn? You call the play. You worry about preparing for the Seahawks. You work on a football field. I'll work on what's pumping through the speakers. And you know what's going to be pumping through the speakers all day on Saturday? Future.
Hendrix.
He put on Instagram his track list for the game, and he is only playing Future songs. Do you love this as much as I do?
Is this my guy DJ Envy from the Breakfast Club?
No, it's J Envy.
Oh, J Envy. No. First and foremost, if you're the Falcons and you're DJ J Envy, it's only right,
of course,
that you not only play artists from Atlanta, in particular, you're going to play Future, one, because he's hot.
It's not even a reach. Yeah, like he is the hottest rapper in Atlanta.
Two, he has a tie not only to the other team, not like a special teams player that runs down the field 4 or 5 plays. He has an opportunity to affect the head of the all-pro quarterback, Super Bowl champion on the other team that's married to Sierra, who's also from
Atlanta, Georgia.
You have to do it.
Not only during the game, you have to do it just 5 hours before the game.
No doubt.
Future himself is going to be like, yo, cut that off. Too much Future.
He's going to be too much Future. How a home court advantage used to work. And there were some distinct towns when you travel to them. You go to Detroit and see Leon the Barber. You go to Washington, you see the attorney stomping with the boots.
No idea what you're talking about.
Los Angeles and Boston, they had notorious hecklers as well. Here's what should happen in the A this weekend. The hotel that they're staying at is going to be one of the best ones in town.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a restaurant and bar area in that hotel.
I love where you're going.
This DJ and this establishment should also be playing all Future. And let me take it a step further.
Get a couple billboards in the way from the airport.
Anytime you're anywhere this weekend and you see a Seahawks player at a fine dining establishment, wherever, it should be all about that. Because why? It possibly can have 1% effect on the other team's quarterback. And you know what? That's worth it.
Your man, the Kanye West of college football, Jim Harbaugh, had this to say about one of the most exciting national championship games in the history of the sport. Quote, I heard it was a great game. I have it TiVo'd. I fell asleep, but I heard it was an incredible game. Okay. Do you believe that he slept through the end of that game?
No, we were signing Pep Hamilton from the Browns. That's what we was doing. We're trying to get better. We were signing our D coordinator to $1 million deal. Like, we're coming. He was focusing on us.
Okay.
Jabril Pepper's going to the draft.
Do you believe that Jim Harbaugh still uses TiVo? I would believe that. He's still got the bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, bloop, bloop. That's what he's doing.
All you got to do is get your cable provider to come and update the software. Not a big deal.
There's a gentleman in the National Basketball Association. His government name is DeMarcus Cousins, but he's known as... He stays in the news, too. But this time, he became a journalist. He turned the tables on the reporters that were surrounding his locker and asking him if he wanted to be in Sacramento. Let's give it a listen.
I asked you, did you want me to be here? Yes or no? The spotlight's on you. Yeah, hello? No, come. Okay, where Andy? Andy, would you like me to remain here?
This is not my call, but I would say, for me, I would say no.
Okay. Well, guess what? Guess what, people? I'm here.
You want to go behind the curtain?
Take us behind the curtain, Mr. Rose.
The NBA signed a new collective bargaining agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And in that collective bargaining agreement, DeMarcus Cousins this summer can sign an extension with the Kings.
Approximately $207 million.
And when you get the call from your agent and or the head nod from ownership at his age, though they never won a playoff game with him, though he's had some emotional joyrides, whether it's the mouthpiece incident, whether it's punching the chair, whether it's getting certain technical fouls, you're not going to get fair value in return for one of the most talented players in the entire league. And he made 4 threes and sunk my Pistons, which is another subject for another day. And if they're going to offer you that type of bread, he's like, I'm staying here.
Okay. This is so easy for me to say because no one's offered me $207 million.
You need to make sure you know what the alternate is first. And if the alternate is $30, $40 million difference, now answer.
That is approximately the alternate. I would probably go somewhere else. What? So I can be happy and I can win basketball games. You leaving again? You leaving? Good. Oh, it's been fun. It's been fun doing this show with you. It's been fun doing this show with you. Good, because I don't need you for this next topic. I'm glad that you left because this next topic is about my hometown. I'm often associated with New York City, but I grew up and I went to high school at Amherst High in Amherst, Massachusetts. 413. Amherst is known for being the hometown of the University of Massachusetts. However, there is another college for nerds called Amherst College that the nerds go to. Amherst College has a very controversial mascot. Much like the football team in Washington and some of the logos for the Cleveland baseball team, it's just outdated and ridiculous. They're called the Lord Jeffs. They're called the Lord Jeffs after someone who suggested giving Native Americans blankets with smallpox on them. What? Well, they're changing that mascot. And they have some suggestions. It looks like they're now going to be called the Amherst College Hamsters. What? Hamster is an anagram for Amherst, which is clever. Again, I told you, nerds go there. But just to show you just how nerdy this school is, the other semifinalists for their mascot include moose, aces, dinosaurs, irradiants, fighting poets, and mammoths. Jalen, do you think the Amherst College Hamsters or the Amherst College Fighting Poets is a better mascot?
What was the record last year? In
knows?
One of your favorite sports.
Who knows? I have no idea.
Are they good teams?
They're completely irrelevant. You've never heard of this college before.
So the Hamsters?
Hamsters.
Or?
The Fighting Poets.
Fighting Poets.
I like Fighting Poets too. Jalen.
What up, though?
Medicinal Mitch is out of the league.
I know. Fellow Wolverine.
So.
A cautionary tale for players out there, remember, this is the reason why he left college a year early. He faced a suspension of some sort from the NCAA for failing a drug test, got to the NBA, fortunate enough to still get drafted in Oklahoma City, where they have a really good infrastructure for young players. We kind of saw Kevin Durant, James Harden develop, Russell Westbrook as well. We need players like Steven Adams and Enes Kanter. So for him not to be able to flourish in that situation to the point where his play, but more importantly, the medicinal continues to be an issue where you get suspended multiple times and smoke yourself out of the league, it's just unfortunate.
Yep. So I have to pick a new favorite player.
Lance?
I broke up with Lance a long time ago. Medicinal Mitch isn't in the league anymore, so I'm back with my man. Michael Beasley is back in a big win against the Spurs without Giannis Antetokounmpo. Michael Beasley had 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Are you with me on the Beasley bandwagon?
He can score in flurries. A lefty, mid-range, extended to 3 every now and then. I'm not surprised when he scores. The whole thing about him is going to be opportunity and efficiency.
Why did you leave the show earlier?
Because you act like another individual should walk away from $30, $40 million?
What?
We need to drug test you.
Keep it moving, you know we keep it moving. Baby, we be moving, you know we keep it moving.
Jalen, I've been really interested in this 3-on-3 thing that Ice Cube is putting together, okay? He's got Roger Mason involved as a president and commissioner, and these are legitimate businessmen that have a legitimate business plan to bring us a 3-on-3 league of retired NBA basketball players. Now, just to put a little cherry of interest on top of all of this, it has now been announced that Allen Iverson will be joining Chauncey Billups, Kenyon Martin, Rashard Lewis, Jermaine O'Neal, Steven Jackson, and Jason Williams, White Chocolate Jason Williams, that is, as head coach and players in this 3-on-3 league. This is intriguing. This is really intriguing. I would love to watch Allen Iverson play 3-on-3 basketball very competitively against Kenyon Martin. I would love to watch that. I would make that part of my day if that was possible. How big do you think this league will be?
So I like to gauge success off a realistic expectation.
Where are the expectations for this?
And for me, the expectation is win-win, because there isn't something like this that exists, so therefore there's nothing to compare it to. You're taking people with notable names, clearly that have been the best at what they do, in this case basketball. You add that celebrity element of people that just want to see them.
And it's competitive. This isn't MTV Rock and Jock.
And also want to see them play basketball, something that they've got to know that individual for doing for the last X amount of years. And you get a chance to get more up close and personal with these guys when usually when you go to like an NBA game, it's 25,000. So the experience isn't as personal for that individual. Yes, it's going to be 3-on-3, not 5-on-5, but I think because of that element, it will be a success. They'll have performers. It'll almost mimic what you see from a tour.
I feel like it'll be more of a show than a game, but I'll watch it, you know? And what do you expect from the actual basketball? Because 3-on-3 is very, very different than 5-on-5 full court.
That's the crucial point that you made. You get a chance to see these guys display their skills, but not necessarily have to change into the floor. There's a reason why you're retired. There's a reason why you're not getting a check from the National Basketball Association anymore. So now that you're on that side, and some of these guys, like, just think of when you're playing basketball. Jermaine O'Neal, Rashard Lewis, Kenyon Martin, these guys are 6'10", 6'11". So you're talking about playing half-court basketball. You just shoot, kick it back to the free throw line, or kick it to the three-point line. You're automatically back in attack mode.
And also, when you have a post-game 3-on-3 gives you a lot of space.
Basket or
a
foul.
lot of space to just go to work in the post in a way that you can't when there are 10 people on the basketball floor. Here's my question. Imagine you had one of these teams, right? Would you fill out your roster, 5 players per team, with notable retired NBA players, or would you fill out your roster with the 4 players to give you the best chance to win the league?
The latter. Trying to win.
I'm trying to win. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you were really trying to win, do you think that these guys are going to get their homeboys from the NBA playing days, or are they going to get recently graduated, undrafted, 25-year-olds that are on the cusp of the league?
A combination of both, because you still want a level of intelligence on your roster. You still want some familiarity. You're trying to build out a team, and you want guys that you've seen have success in clutch situations. Allen Iverson, Chauncey Billups. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that these guys still love the game enough to want to train to do this. Because when you get older, your body breaks down. I worry about injury. So when I was asked about playing, I was like, ain't no way I can run, jump, stop, and play and actually take it seriously, competitively. I'm not going to put myself in that situation by committing to something that I knew that I just couldn't do. And I applaud the commitment. This is going to be like a 10-week commitment.
And this isn't a money grab. Like, I know the numbers are going to be associated with being in this
money
league.
To be
exactly. Like, this isn't like
these
this
guys
isn't like,
made
we need the money.
multi-millions.
Yeah, exactly. They've all got 7, 8, 9-figure bank accounts. That's one thing I like about this. It does feel like a little bit for the love, a little bit for the competition, and for the fans,
and for the camaraderie too. There's nothing like being around people that you respect and admire at your craft, all in the same place at the same time.
Let me just tell you, Jalen. Let's imagine, hypothetically, you were in one of these games.
And I know they're going to have some fun parties, too, because remember, they're retired.
They're retired.
So remember, I talked about players.
There's no test.
Odell Beckham and the receivers and all of that. This is going to be way different. When the game is over, oh, man, I need to just fly out there for that. Nah, that's what those are going to be concerts. Ice Cube, I already know what he's going to do. He's going to have shows. They're going to have games during the day and shows at night.
And then an after party after that.
No question. They're retired.
I like that aspect of this. You know what? I'm surprised you're not involved with this now that you mentioned
10
that.
weeks.
I'm surprised you're not involved. Can't you get some sort of special consultant, champagne and campaign commissioner?
I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
Do I get 10 weeks off of this fine program to participate?
I've been waiting for you to leave this program ever since it started, Jalen. Of course. Starting
I'm a founder
tomorrow.
of a charter high school. I'm a parent. I'm a mate. I'm a son.
When we come back, Jalen Rose will finally leave this program. You are listening to
I
soon
support.
to be
What up,
Jacoby
though, Mace?
And Jacoby.
Holla at your boy Q.
Jalen Rose. We're not going to talk about the incumbent president of the United States and some of the things that he's been up to lately.
Let's talk about him.
Let's not.
No,
I like this
there.
job. I like this job.
No, let's
Jalen.
talk about
I really
him.
like this job.
I've been watching those
like
cabinet
this job.
nominations. Let's talk about him.
I really enjoy this job. I love the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. I've never worked anywhere else, and I don't want to start anytime soon. So we're going to move on to celebrating.
I know what he's doing. I just go to Twitter and find out.
8 years of Barack Obama's presidency. And you know who else celebrated Barack Obama's presidency? Barack Obama. He had himself a huge party where he flew out people from all corners
people don't celebrate
of
enough.
the entertainment industries, notable figures, just for one last soiree at the White House. I didn't get invited, but just, I know Barry. I've been over his house before. He's had me over. And I think that when you have 3 kids, people stop inviting you places. When you have a bunch of kids, they just stop inviting you places. So I'm sure that Michelle and Barry were sitting down going over the list, and they got to my name, and they're like, oh, he probably can't come because he's got too many kids.
Yeah, makes sense. He watches this program.
But
Michelle
one thing
knows
that didn't
Joey.
happen at this party is Jerry Seinfeld was on the list. But he's on the list as Jerry Seinfeld. So he got to the White House security. They're very serious about security there. They act like they don't know you're coming, but obviously they know you're coming. And Jerry Seinfeld couldn't get in. You know why he couldn't get in? He was listed as Jerry Seinfeld. Government name, Jerome Seinfeld. What? Jerome Seinfeld. Does it completely change the way that you look at Jerry Seinfeld now that you know his name is Jerome?
Watching Martin just changed the way I look at the term Jerome, period. Roll me around.
Doesn't it change the way you look at him now that you know that his name is Jerome?
No.
Not at all? Not at all?
Are there people that think your first name is Jacoby?
Yes.
Doesn't change the way I think about you?
Okay. Do you know who else performed at this party?
Who's that?
The Roots were there.
Give it here.
Solange
Don't say
performed
nothing.
at the Roots. Nile Rodgers performed. Pharrell Williams performed. J. Cole performed. Usher and Janelle Monáe had a dance-off.
They're versions of the modern-day Michael and James Brown. Janelle Monáe.
Solange and Kelly Rowland showcased a dance routine to Salt and Pepper's Push It. Okay, Salt and Pepper, who I'm sure will be featured shortly on this program on Women's Crush Wednesday.
Their first album was a classic.
This party, I heard from inside sources, went very, very late into the wee hours of the morning.
First off, who was hosting the party?
The president.
Okay, he just so happens to be black. You ever
What?
heard of something called CP time?
What?
Let me teach you guys something.
What, Jalen?
When we say the party starts
Obama's
at
black?
6, the party doesn't start till 9.
This is a post-racial society,
Don't
Jalen.
tell me that the party went late. The party started late.
Barack Obama's black.
Of course it went late. And you just said it. People, A, don't want to leave. B,
No.
definitely don't want to leave the White House.
The goodbye party?
And C, people like you want to steal things. So you wait until most of the people leave so you can creep out of there with a couple of things in your
I
pocket.
was so scared that they were going to go through my pockets on the way out of the White House. And I was going to be there. You'd have to explain to my bosses at ESPN why I had to stay at the White House for an extra 3 hours and be deposed. I owe you some bathroom towels. Tom Brady's a great quarterback. Not the best actor. Here's Tom Brady doing impression of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Hey, Rock, what kind of sleepwear you sleeping in? It doesn't matter what kind of sleepwear you're sleeping in.
Do it again. Play it again.
Hey, Rock, what kind of sleepwear you sleeping in? It doesn't matter what kind of sleepwear you're sleeping in.
So I've never been a professional athlete, but I am a television producer, and I've dealt with athletes in these sort of performance scenarios for a long time. And one of the rules is like, don't turn an athlete into an actor because it'll often go bad. So you've been on the other side of that. When someone says, "Hey Jalen, we want you to act like The Rock for this sleepwear commercial," how do you handle that request?
Well, what makes it unique is usually when someone asks you to act, they're giving you the lines and you deliver them the way they hope that you deliver them. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily saying sound like somebody else.
That's what makes it tricky.
Also
Yes.
a great actor.
Yes.
So this clearly was meant to be funny. And it was.
I don't think it was meant to be unintentionally funny, which was a redundant statement. I realized that. But I think Tom Brady just needed to have someone, not him, one of his people, just be like, you know what? Let's I love this idea. I love this sleepwear. We need to get this message out to the people. But perhaps Tom Brady acting as The Rock isn't the way to get this message out.
Hit the brakes.
Nope.
So you really think this is about the message or the sleepwear? You know that before all of that happens, you get that email. When do they want me there?
How much money?
Correct.
But at some point, when you've got your own image to manage, I've never been a professional athlete that's been asked to act. But when you have an own image to manage, and you look at the script and it's corny, I'm sure this has happened to you in the past, all right? You look down and you're like, they want me to do this corny thing? Isn't there a part of you that's like, look, I can slightly change this into something that I'm comfortable with and still get the same check at the end of the day?
Well, it's a fine line between staying in your lane and trusting the process, but also it's not necessarily what you hope to get accomplished. It's what the brand or the endorser hopes to get accomplished, and they're paying you to execute. So in theory, you're not in control of that scenario.
When you're on the car ride home, are you just like, God, that was corny?
Yes.
I can't believe I'm involved with that. You just have
No
to remind
doubt.
yourself, like, $100,000, $100,000.
What do you think Shaq was saying standing next to those cars that he 3 times bigger than? You notice they ain't have him in the car.
I know, it was so ridiculous. I do need some icy hot, though. FSU coach Dennis Gates He has just been on straight damage control. He's put out a propaganda assault all day today defending Grayson Allen. If you didn't see it, Grayson Allen bumped into Florida State assistant coach Dennis Gates. Looked like he pushed him. Sure looked like he pushed him to me. But Dennis Gates is saying, you know what? It was just a hustle play. Let's not overblow this like you always do, media. You guys are the bad guys. Grayson Allen is the good guy. You've watched this clip. Did Grayson Allen mean to push this dude?
So
it looked like Grayson Allen meant to push this dude.
You know that I'm more offended by the fondling that took place by the Clemson defenders than actually what I saw from Grayson Allen. What this sounds like with this assistant coach to me is, I don't want any headlines for the wrong reasons. And if it's something that's truly not intentional or physically damaging to me, that's going to have a lingering effect, how do I squash it immediately? So that to me is what this sounds more like. I want to go on and focus on my basketball team.
Who just beat Duke.
Not necessarily become a part of the lineage of incidents in the history of Grayson Allen.
Quick theory on Grayson Allen. A lot of people say, like, the real you comes out when you drink, or the real you will come out on the basketball court. Like, we've heard those things forever. I have a theory on that. That's not necessarily true. There are certain exceptions to that rule where some people on the basketball court just do a Jekyll and Hyde thing and just kind of change into someone that they're not. Someone that's a lot more aggressive, someone that's a lot more physical. Like, I've got very docile friends that just kind of flip when you play basketball into someone that I don't want to hang out with. I feel like Grayson Allen is just one of those people. I just feel like he just kind of loses his mind a little bit when he plays basketball. I feel like he meant to push this assistant to the ground. And when you watch the video, it looks like he meant to push the assistant to the ground. Like, that's what it is.
If you're judging by the video,
we're all looking at the same video.
It does appear that he did. And that's why I noted what I felt the assistant coach was doing, trying to steer clear of being a part of anything that's going to take away from the fact that they just beat Duke. Look back at the preseason rankings. Mm-hmm. Okay, Duke was a top 3 team for sure in anybody's book. And they've struggled on the floor. I know Coach K is dealing with back surgery right now. That's the bigger issue, along with the injuries that they'd had to endure so far this season.
Jalen Rose, when people come up to you on the street, you're so nice. With every, like, the, service people, you are just so nice. You're just such a good person amongst people with the work that you do with Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. Like, you're just such a great person and influence not just me, but everyone that works around you and everyone listening.
Thank you.
But you're kind of a jerk on the basketball court.
Yes.
Jalen Rose, there's a show on ESPN, not ESPN2, on ESPN, that features the greatest host in all of television. I'm not talking about Jimmy Fallon. I'm not talking about the history. I'm not talking about Dave Letterman. I'm talking about it features the greatest host in the history of television. Of course, I'm talking about Molly Cameron's First Take.
Yes.
Floyd Mayweather appeared on this program featuring Molly Cameron, spoke about a potential fight between him and Conor McGregor. He straight up made an offer. Let's listen.
But we are willing to give him $15 million. And then we could talk about splitting the percentage, the back end percentage on pay-per-view.
So Floyd is basically saying, you've never even made 10, dude. I get 100, you get 15, and we'll figure out a way to split the back end. Do you think that's fair to Conor McGregor?
Yes. Because unlike team sports, boxing is all about the draw. And Floyd Mayweather has proven multiple times that he is that with an undefeated record. And he evolved from being pretty boy Floyd to money for a reason. He started to pay attention to the business aspect.
Oh, he's
of
on the
game.
Forbes list. He's on the Forbes list.
All right. And the more I make and the less I get hit, that's what I'm signing up for. If I'm going to get into the ring with a guy that's not even a boxer that I know I'm going to beat, I got to make sure my bread is right. And I got to keep him in his lane. Here's why. Ain't no telling what he might do when he get in the ring with me. So I got to make it worth it. But also, I can't give him the type of money that he feel like he can act any type of way. once the fight gets signed for, almost like you saw in Rocky with Clubber Lang. We can't have none of that. You've never made over $10 million, so now you ain't about to come up off of me and make 30. Not gonna be able to do it.
I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Makes perfect sense to me. I told you guys on this fine program that he was trying to make the fight happen. Conor can't get the bread
Do you
right.
really think this fight will happen?
No.
No, me neither. No. It's fun to talk about, but it's not going to happen.
How about this for Conor? Two things. This would be a signature knockout for Floyd. This would be Mike Tyson, Trevor Burbick. Like, this would be the guy get up, fall down, fall out of the ring, get knocked out by Floyd. This would be ugly for Conor McGregor if they're going to fight. That's one. The other thing I got to stress, Conor McGregor lost a $10 million payday with Dana White, and not agreeing with Floyd cost himself a $15 million. See, you know what I would have did? I would have got both of those paydays and then got 25. That's just me.
Jalen Rose. The Clippers have hired Kevin Garnett as a team consultant.
No surprise. We talked about that in preseason.
What does that mean?
It means that he provides a level of expertise of a coach. In their case, another tall body with defensive prowess that can actually make DeAndre and Blake work in practice. So you got to remember, when you watch the Clippers play, it's those two guys, and then they get really smaller once
Really
they sign the
small. I'm thinking
substitute.
about their roster. I'm like, huh.
And because of that, you actually not only need that for the skill of teaching them different tricks of the trade, but you actually need his participation.
Does Mo Buckets cover DeAndre in practice?
No.
Like, how does this even work?
Well, you try to take away his layups and dunks, but in theory, just doesn't have the size and the athleticism to make him work.
With this? Here's my theory on this. I think the Clippers saw Kevin Garnett showing up to a bunch of other teams' practices, and we're like, we're not going to pay you to coach us. We're going to pay you not to coach everybody else. Like, now you're our team consultant. That means you can't be at everybody else's practice.
Well, this was the thing that was set to happen regardless. KG was going to be a member of the media, and he was also going to work for the Clippers, in particular Doc Rivers, who they won a championship together in Boston, and he has a home in Los Angeles.
I just don't want this to affect his Area 21 performances.
And how about this?
You know, I just want Area 21 to continue to evolve and develop.
Doesn't have to go to any games.
Nope.
Doesn't have to go to practices.
Nope. Sounds like a great deal to me. Sounds like a great deal to me. Sure, I'll consult. Consultant is the best. We all have those friends from college.
Hey, what you think?
That went on to be consultants.
Hey, what you think about this?
It's like, so what exactly do you do? Well, companies hire us, and we charge millions of dollars just to sort of like give them some ideas and look at their business. Consultants. You know I love Taco Bell, right?
For some Mexican.
You know, anytime that there is a Taco Bell story in the news, we're going to discuss it on this program. Taco Bell has yet another new menu item.
Some Mexican.
If you are hungry and you stop,
because the Taco Bell's never closed,
you can order the long-awaited naked chicken chalupa.
They need to bring back Sir Mix-a-Lot. Seriously. And have him do the ads for this, like we saw Icky Woods doing ads recently. I need to see that. I bet he got paid when Nicki Minaj used this beat.
The naked chicken chalupa doesn't have a tortilla. In place of a tortilla,
lettuce.
No, a fried chicken disc.
What?
So it's lettuce and cheese and toppings inside of a fried chicken tortilla. Are you on board with the naked chicken chalupa?
I'm not rolling.
If you go to the Taco Bell, what if the Taco Bell is
closed?
There's like 4 people that get that, and they're laughing right now.
Just show your age. That's all. This program has range.
Both the Warriors and the Cavaliers' big three are averaging 72 points a game. What does that tell you?
So, don't overthink this, fans and media.
What? That's what we do.
Okay, don't overthink.
Don't overthink what?
Clearly, the 2 best teams in basketball reside in Golden State and Cleveland.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Duh.
So, you're going to have your ebbs and flows like Maybe the Spurs.
Oh, the Rockets have won
Maybe
9
the Clippers.
in a row. Yeah.
Can the Rockets do it?
Of course.
I know Memphis beat them twice
The
this year.
Raptors might get Paul Millsap.
Those are the two best teams in basketball. And because of the dynamic you just described, one of those teams also has Draymond Green, who's been All-NBA. So that's what Cleveland was striving for with Kyle Korver, to go with the shooting of J.R. Smith and Channing Frye, to give them that elite firepower if and when these two teams match up in the finals.
LeBron's complaining about not getting calls from officials. First time he's been out of the top 10 in free throw attempts, blah, blah, blah. Has a lot to do with his minutes and whatever. He's kind of like at the same rate he's always been with free throws. Is he just doing this as a psychological game? Is he just softening up the refs for later on in the season?
No, when you're the best player, you expect to get calls every time. That's just how it works. I remember coming to L.A. 1995, UCLA, all of the top pros in the gym.
Was Irving there?
Kobe Bryant made an appearance. KG, Paul Pierce. So all of the UCLA players. Buck, as we like to call him. Game's flowing great. And all of a sudden you get close to point game. Basket or foul every time. And here's the thing. First off, it's Magic Johnson. Second, you might have bumped him or grabbed him a little bit.
But you would have never called it yourself.
Third, he doesn't call a foul until he missed. So it's like, you know I got that. Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer. I ain't got to call it. Bring it back. Now you're already on the other end laying the ball up.
Jalen, when we get you in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame next year, can you call yourself Hall of Famer?
I'm already in the Hall of Fame.
You are in the Hall of Fame.
Detroit.
Of our hearts as well. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail, and we will put your voicemail on our show as part of our new favorite segment, Voicemails. Obviously, on Wednesday, first few voicemails will be from our females callers. Let's listen to the first one.
Hey, guys. It's Maggie from Buffalo. I have a question for Jalen. From a style standpoint, which of these do you think is the worst defense, and which would you do if you had to choose one? The options are showing your Achilles all of the time, no matter what you're wearing, rocking a jerry curl, or having to wear anything in Cam Newton's closet. All right, thanks. Thanks, guys.
That's what's up. Appreciate the love.
Good questions from Maggie. So just to sort of to summarize, she's saying you have to pick one of these, Jalen Rose.
Okay.
Or rank them in terms of most offensive.
Okay.
Show your Achilles.
Oh.
Rock a jerry curl. Or wear something from Cam Newton's closet every day.
Oh, this is easy. Look over my left shoulder. You see Doughboy with the D hat on and
Jalen
Boys in the
Rose
Hood.
with the jerry curl?
No question.
I would love for you to have a jerry curl. Do you know why? Do you know why I would love for you to have a jerry curl?
Michael Jackson?
Because then you wouldn't spend 50% of your time focusing on your hairline when you should be focusing on the content for Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. Let's listen to the next female caller on Woman Crush Wednesday.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby. This is Arabella calling from Brooklyn, New York. Longtime listener and big fan. And I have a question for you, specifically Jalen. How do we fix the Knicks? I'm dying. Help us out. Thank you guys so much. Big shout out from Brooklyn.
Annabella from Brooklyn wants to know how to
Shame
fix
on you.
the Nets.
This is what I'm saying to the Nets. Shame on you when you step through too.
Barclays Center.
Like, a couple of things. First and foremost, there should be immediately, like right now, this construction should start to happen. Immediately. Statues of the Notorious Big.
Yep.
And Sean Carter.
Yep.
First off, I'm not even paying attention to their squad until I hear that's going to happen.
Okay. So let's
First and
imagine
foremost.
a hypothetical scenario in which there's a news story that says they're going to build those two statues.
Correct.
Captain
You know
America
how I
out
am
there.
about statues.
You can't have Captain America out there without Biggie.
Jay was a part of the not only ownership group, a minority owner, but the celebrity that they used as the face of bringing the team to town. He needs a statue.
Annabella, I think what we're trying to say is really there's no like quick fix.
No,
for the Nets. There's no quick fix for the
I am
Nets.
giving you the fix. I'm giving you the fix. One,
Build
they
some
need
statues.
to get statues of Biggie and Jay in the front,
Put them in front of Captain America
and
too.
not Captain America. So now we're changing the culture now. Let's
Okay,
start there.
okay. Step one.
Remember,
Step two.
you was playing the town with the Knicks. Okay, they're the storied team. It's going to be that way. So how do we carve our own niche? We have to own Brooklyn. Second thing, some of my favorite people in entertainment, in rap music, are from Brooklyn. The way this team plays, they should not be allowed to play any of those artists' music until they turn it around.
Okay, so that's step 2.
Fab, Most Def, come to mind.
When you would start making basketball changes.
I'm telling you, I'm going to have to reach out to my guy Clark Kent. Like, I'm serious about this. The other thing that needs to happen, Brook Lopez has been with that team through a lot of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
He's established himself as one of the best scoring bigs in the league. Not necessarily a rebounder or a shot blocker, but has a really good touch, can shoot a jumper, and is going to always hover around 18 to 20 points. He's that effective scoring the basketball. Because you have him, the person that you put beside him has to be a physically gifted player that is going to do all of that dirty work. Because it seems like he's going to be their best player. But beyond that, you have to establish who's going to be their stars and all-stars. Right now, I don't think, other than Brook, that person exists on their roster, which means a complete overhaul of the jerseys, pretty much, that you're watching every night. They have some pieces.
Mm-hmm. They have some players.
They have some pieces.
Yeah.
I love seeing my guy Karis LeVert balling. They have a couple of guys that are having really good seasons in their own right. Booker's playing really well. But I just think in order to take that next step and to be a consistent playoff team, you got to get a ball and crane to that roster and blow it up.
Annabella, what's most important is instead of Captain America, we need a Biggie statue. You can wait a little bit for a Sean statue, in my opinion. You know, he's only like 45 years old.
Jay would applaud doing bigs first.
Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Hi, this is Sue from Syracuse. I heard Jalen say that he considered going to Syracuse University, and I'm wondering how his official visit was there.
Thank you kindly. Appreciate the love. At the time I was considering Syracuse, it was a unique time in the school because Dave, being one of the all-time great NBA players, a top 50 member, Syracuse great, is also my godfather. Playing the same backcourt as Jimmy Walker for the Detroit Pistons.
Didn't know that.
So, being a fan of his and also Derek Coleman, who I call the Colonel of Detroit, almost like the big brother of the city. They both attended Syracuse. And usually what happens when you're a young player, you gravitate to the places that you see people where you from have success. Sure. So I'm looking at UNLV where Anderson Hunt's doing this thing. I'm checking out Iowa, Bill Jones from Detroit Southwestern as well doing this thing. And so I was initially just gravitating towards those schools. Steve Smith playing at Michigan State. Mm-hmm. Billy Owens was the best player on the team at the time. When I took my visit, I think Red Autry, who's still on the coaching staff, and Conrad McCray, the late Conrad McCray, were my hosts. And I really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite schools. It ended up probably being third overall because I knew that it was important for me to stay close to home because my number one fan is my mom. And it would have meant a lot to her for me to stay where she could come watch the games versus not really be able to fly to come to Syracuse to see me as much. So Michigan State ended up being second. Syracuse, as I mentioned, third, and clearly Michigan was the choice.
We'd like to thank all of our female callers for calling in, leaving us voicemails. Again, you can call 985-80-JALEN and leave messages.
But I root for the Cutes.
Those are the female voicemails we have.
I remember talking to Melo on the phone when he was on his championship run.
Now, let's listen to the next voicemail.
Yo, Jalen.
What up, though?
Unsports related. I just want to let you know, way back when you was in Michigan, I met my wife from talking about y'all because you're from Detroit. So thank you, brother.
That's love. I appreciate the caller. And here's something I want to point out. There are a lot of seminal moments that happen to us. And remember, I was talking about the difference between life before social media and after. this is the perfect caller that embodies that. He played double dutch. I'm going to get her number.
Yeah.
Should I say hi? What's going to be my hook? How am I going to figure a way with butterflies in my stomach to get this beautiful woman to give me some attention?
Didn't slide in the DMs.
On Woman
Didn't
Crush
send a tweet.
Wednesday. No doubt about
Didn't
it.
send a pic of himself in
These
the mirror.
were the days when you probably not only had to get to know her, but then it's like, does she got any brothers? What's going on with her dad?
Do you know
Like,
what? Do you know what I love? You know, I'm really glad you pointed that out, because here's something that I want to point out. When he started the voicemail with "What up, though," you answered it.
No question. No doubt about it. It's like muscle memory. So I'm glad that the Fab Five in the city of Detroit became a hook. Hopefully you have a happy and prosperous marriage. And also, get her to listen to the program with you.
Again, call 985-80-JALEN and leave us voicemails. We have a simple model on this program. How can you give the people what they want if you don't know what the people want? We reach out to the people via our 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed. That is at Jalen and Jacoby, and they have sent in these questions. First question that we have, Jalen Rose is not prepared for. It's from John Dre 3000. Smart handle. Who's the funniest player on the court Jalen ever played with? Who's got jokes in the game?
Funniest player on the court during the game? Wow.
This is why ones like this I usually prepare Jalen for.
This has to be some sort of Fab Five answer. Like, during the game, the things that were said by those group of individuals,
you guys had fun,
were really surprising.
You had fun.
And they either were funny or volatile.
So basically your answer is, I'm the funniest person I've ever played with. That's fair. You can say that.
Not me.
You're one of the funniest persons I've ever played with.
Not necessarily me.
Okay.
I fed off of them and vice versa.
This is a great question. I saw this earlier, and I just want to celebrate this man. Jeff Van Hungry has this question. Listen carefully, Jalen. If aliens visited Earth without knowing anything about it, do you think they would find wave pools weird? Again, great question. Say no. Say no. But let me ask you this question. Now, this is something that's important to me. This is something that's important to me. When we talk about MVPs, we talk about Steph Curry, the best player in the league, this and that, build a franchise around. If aliens came down to the Earth and they said, you know what? If I push this button, it will end your planet. Everyone will perish. However, I will not push this button if you can beat my friend Steve, Alien Steve, in a one-on-one basketball game. Pick your representative from your planet to play in that one-on-one basketball game. I think about this all the time. There's only one answer. That answer is LeBron James. No one's picking Steph Curry. No one's picking James Harden. No one's picking Boogie Cousins. Everyone is picking LeBron James. There's only one answer. So if you ask me who the best basketball player in the world is, it's LeBron James. Alien Steve has got a great jump shot, though. Who are you picking?
Has to be LeBron.
Good. Thank you for the question, Jeff Van Hungry. I don't find wave pools to be that weird. I also find them not to be that much fun, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Or sanitary. Next question that we have is from our friend, Young OG. Does Mike D'Antoni deserve Coach of the Year?
I talked about that previously on this program. Yes. We look at the success of the Houston Rockets. Nobody can say they anticipated this through injury. In particular, right now, to Clint Capella, extracting Dwight Howard from the roster, which was a big-time decision. James Harden playing himself in an historic light with these triple-doubles and the big-time numbers that he's putting up. Eric Gordon's going to be in conversation for Sixth Man of the Year. 4 players in the top 10 in makes and threes. Absolutely.
Next question is from Ryan Kelly. Ryan wants to know, Jacoby, if you could put your minivan on Pimp My Ride, what kind of things would you want Exhibit to add? I've got a very simple answer to that. It's one word. Partition. Right behind me and my wife. Right behind me and my wife. There would be a partition. I could push a button, and this big, thick metal plate would go up, separating me and my wife from the rest of the family. They're all strapped into car seats. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to hurt themselves. They can't. They're not going to die. But they're so loud back there. They have all these complaints, all this and that. I would just love to be able to push a button and just have them go away.
They would be a lot louder if they couldn't see you.
That's fine. If I can't hear them, then I don't care. A soundproof partition. That's not cruelty. They're strapped into car seats. They're going to be fine. They're going to get to the destination just like we are.
No.
Except I'm going to have a much better time.
You got to be paying attention. Anything could go wrong.
No, they can't. They're strapped in, Jalen.
What about their arms?
They're strapped in.
They can't move their arms, their fingers?
Yeah, they can move their arms and fingers.
Like, no, I don't agree with that. Wife is not having that.
Dog, you don't agree with that. Ryan Kelly said Jacoby. He didn't say Jalen.
Oh, I'm not the minivan king.
Minivan man. Capital.
Hey, y'all, prepare yourself for the minivan man.
I love my theme
when he
song.
starts to jam.
Kyle has an interesting question. Why can't LeBron win in Utah? Where was there a particular arena Jalen struggled in? LeBron has lost his last 6 games in Utah.
Particular struggles for me consistently probably there are places I feel like I struggled, then there's something popped in my head like bang, but you did give him 25-30 that other time. So it's just hard for me to
you had a lot of chances.
Yeah, exactly. I had a lot of chances, yeah. Utah's always had a really good home court advantage. The players have an extra bounce. They play with a certain level of enthusiasm that feeds off of their crowd. And it's one of those places where you feel like I'm going to go get rest.
That's
and I truly believe there's a level of being rested or being sluggish that plays because there is some altitude as well, not like Denver.
No, there's some.
But again, they've always been really good, whether it's the Stockton and Malone teams and right now. I mean, Gordon Hayward, Rudy Gobert, they're a really good basketball team. Derek Favors. And how about this? Balling at the point from Indianapolis. The only point guard scoring, 17, 18 a game, shooting 50% from the floor, is George Hill.
0.3 seconds left in the game. Game 7. Down 2.
Steph.
You have 2 free throws. Would you rather have Drummond or DeAndre at the line?
Drummond. He has a softer touch. When you watch those two teams play basketball, there will be times where you throw it to Drummond and he does a really good post move. Yes. He can turn over the left shoulder. He can turn over the right shoulder. He has a jump hook.
You haven't seen that from DeAndre too much.
He handles the ball. You see him do a couple of good passes. I've seen him make a half-court shot. So I'm going with the guy I've seen make more buckets that weren't dunks.
I think that's fair. Can I ask you like a stupid fan question?
Oh, here's another thing.
I have a good stupid fan question.
I got to say something about DeAndre.
Nope. Like I tell my son. So I tell my son. Nope. City of nopes on top of nopes, more nopes. Nope. Mayor of nopes over here.
Big shout to Andre Drummond and his mom. I just received a donation to the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy that his foundation is going to sponsor 2 students.
Oh, that's a big deal. Good. You sponsor a student, you get a free sweatshirt and a very nice jacket. Thank you very much from the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. It's a good jacket. Here's my stupid fan question. How come no one has mastered the throwing the ball at the rim so it bounces super far away to a teammate in a free throw situation? Like, how come this has not been mastered? You have people like Steph Curry behind the back, spin, shoot from 35 feet, wet, not hit the rim. How come no one can master from 15 feet away a perfectly accurate carom off the rim?
This is truly simple. One of the easiest things you've ever asked me.
That's not true. I asked you pizza or burgers yesterday.
Because you don't practice missing. That's why.
But if it can be advantageous, I just kind of feel like everybody in the NBA should have one free throw that if they go off the front rim, they know it's going to go 30 feet to the right or 30 feet to the left.
If you're going to accomplish that, it's going to take you going to the free throw line and practicing missing.
Y'all are shooting from the tunnel, Jalen. You're shooting from the tunnel, okay?
You're not going to practice missing.
But you're going to practice shooting from the tunnel?
Yes, because it's still a rangefinder.
Can't shoot from the tunnel, Jalen.
It's a rangefinder. Shooting from the tunnel is no different than shooting from between the hash mark and half court. It's a rangefinder.
One of which is worth 3 points, one of which you're out of bounds. Jalen Rose, it's been a pleasure joining with you on this program.
Thank you.
Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. Thank you so much for listening
Thank
on
you.
ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2
Thank you.
and ESPN News, and subscribing
Thank you.
to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.
Got to give the people